know, I feel like I'm in a jungle. Stabilizers can be very confusing, but they're a necessary part of the embroidery world. So that is the substrate, I just wanted to use that word. That is the surface underneath your project that helps support the stitches and give you that great project without the ripples and without the puckers or anything like that to make your embroidery look inchy. Okay, so let's talk about some different kinds of stabilizers. First up, and yeah, we're gonna go through these. The first up is a tearaway. Okay, the simplest of stabilizers goes in the hoop. We always use our stabilizer in the hoop. The project may be in the hoop between the two pieces, or we may float our project on top. Tearaway is a light duty stabilizer. After you're done your embroidery, it will actually tear right off the back of the project. So it's good for light duty work. I like a good stabilizer that is a tearaway. Now, let's talk about a different type of tearaway, and that goes into one of my absolute favorite stabilizers, which is Stable Stick. Stable Stick comes in two flavors. It comes in a tearaway, which I'm going to talk about, and a cutaway. So what this does is when I hoop my hoop like this, I score it with a pin, and then the paper layer pulls off, and this is sticky. That allows me to put my project on there. It holds it in place, and I do my embroidery. It comes in a tearaway, and the thing I like about this is when I'm finished embroidering and I pull my project out, I have a hole in the middle of my hoop. That's not what I like. But what I do like is I can take a patch from my Stable Stick, cut it, pull off the protective paper seal, plug that hole, and reuse the entire stabilized hoop again. So I made luggage tags. Great idea. Luggage tag, rip it out with the tearaway, patch it from the back, good to go again. So Stable Stick. Now I mentioned that that was tearaway. It does come in another flavor, which is the Stable Stick Cutaway. There are times when a tearaway, if we're doing like a heavy satin stitch, it will actually eat right through the stabilizer. Ask me how I know. Okay, so what I like to do is use the Stable Stick with the sticky, but when I need a little bit more support, I use a cutaway, okay, with that same sticky service. And that service keeps my project on track. All right, so Stable Stick, two flavors. All right, now, we're talking about cutaway. There are times when we're going to stabilize a garment or where we need more flexibility in the project, and for that, we use a NoShow Mesh. And I've got two flavors of that. I have the regular, which is our poly mesh or NoShow Mesh, same thing. It's actually a nylon mesh soft stabilizer that is very pliable. It's great to put on garments. We also have a fusible NoShow Mesh. This is actually, and you, of course, I know, I heard it too, nylon, you use a pressing cloth, but this actually fuses to the back of your project, and then you put that project in between the two pieces of your hoop. Both of those give you that soft, pliable nature for your project, and it is a cutaway, so it gives you that good support that you need for your embroidery, okay? So that's our mesh. All right, now there are times when we want the stabilizer to go away completely, and there's stabilizer that will dissolve with water on the back, and then another one goes on the front. We'll talk about that in just a second. This is Aqua Magic. I hoop my hoop with the Aqua Magic. I do my embroidery, and when I'm finished, what will happen is I take my project out, I trim away most of the stabilizer around my project, and then this will actually dissolve in water. I can use like a warm Q-tip with water on it and melt the additional stabilizer away, or depending on the project, I can actually rinse it in water and this will completely dissolve. Now, don't put a lot of this down your pipes. I mean, that makes sense, right? So if you're going to use a lot of this, you have a big project, you've trimmed it away, but there's still a lot on the back and you do want this to disappear, I would probably use warm water and perhaps dump that water outside. Don't send that down your pipes, because this is, you know, it's going to be dissolved and that could get caught in your pipes. So Aqua Magic, again, something I use a lot when I'm using projects where I want that clean edge all the way around, and I want that stabilizer to disappear. Now I mentioned that this goes on the back of your project. We have another, and this is a topper. This is Dissolve Away. This goes on the top of your project. So I'm still stabilizing my hoop, putting my project, and then this goes on top. We use this when we are embroidering on something with texture. For example, like a velvet, like a flannel, okay, a fleece, or a towel. So this goes on top, and your stitches are held above the pile of your project so they don't sink down in there and disappear. When you're finished, this pulls off almost like saran wrap, but it's not saran wrap. It feels like it, but it pulls off, and then water will dissolve any remnants of it. So that works really, really well. I have 2 more toppers. Alex, do we have the cover-up topper? Do you have that here? No? Good. Okay, good. I wanted to talk about that one as well. This is Clear and Melt. This is also a topper. It goes on a towel or, and again, something else with a texture where you want the stabilizer to keep the stitches up, and so they don't sink in, but you want this to go away. So this is Clear and Melt. So I did some towels with this. I use this as my topper. And then you use your pressing sheet with a pretty warm arm. It needs to be pretty warm, but this, you pull away the excess, But then it melts, and you've got that nice clean image. Now, the thing I like about this is if we're using the Dissolve Away, when it hits the water, completely disappears. When I'm using the Clear and Melt, when it's under the stitches, that stabilizer is still there supporting your stitches, but the little bits and remnants of it on top that are exposed to the heat will melt and disappear. So 2 different choices. Do I have them both in my stabilizer stable? I wanted to use the stabilizer stable, of course. One more topper. And I did a video on this, but we're going to talk about it again. And this is Top Coat. This is a very, very thin plastic. It goes underneath the thread on your project. So if I have a black shirt and I am embroidering white thread on it or red, a lot of times you can see that black shirt through the thread, or there are little spaces in between. And anytime we can up our game, we want to. So I use this cover, this top cover, and it's this, you use the same color as your thread. So if it's a black shirt with red thread, we use red top cover, okay? Because it's meant to fill in the spaces between the threads when you're embroidering. So this package that we have, it has 20 sheets in it, which is nice, and it has, let me see if it says on here how many colors. It's quite a few. 4 sheets each of white, red, and black, 2 sheets each of yellow, orange, green, and blue. So this packet, and you don't do a whole sheet, right? You just put a piece over where you're going to be stitching. This packet will last you for a long, long time, and that's another type of topper. All right. Fabric Magic. This is bizarre. Can you get me the chicken leg, please? Okay, so this is a bizarre type of stabilizer. What happens is when you use a stabilizer and then you go over your project with a steam iron, and actually you don't, the iron itself doesn't hit the project, but the steam will take the stabilizer and it will crinkle it up. So this is a darling quilt that Kathleen made. See the chicken leg? Can you see that, Alex? Mm-hmm. The chicken, see how the chicken leg looks like it's fried chicken? Okay, the way that was done was with Fabric Magic, and it gives you that texturized look on your project. So it's kind of fun if you're doing something maybe like a bag or an evening clutch or something like that, or you're looking for that type of textured look, maybe on an animal or something that you're appliquing with the fabric, because it's the fabric is what's going to crinkle, right? That is going to be your Fabric Magic. Kind of fun. All right, we've got a couple more. I know, will she ever stop? Okay, let's go into just our traditional cutaway. So I've got light duty, medium duty, and the big guy, which is heavyweight cutaway. And the cutaway stabilizer is probably what you absolutely have to have in your stable of stabilizers. This supports your projects, and this is what keeps you from getting the wrinkles around your design. The heavier the design, the heavier the stabilizer needs to be. When someone comes in and they bring a project and it looks fabulous, and I have a lot of Luke's ladies that bring in some fabulous things, the first thing I ask them is, how did you stabilize that? Because I need to know what they're doing. And most of the time, if it's a heavy design, because that of course is what catches your eye, it is with a heavy cutaway stabilizer, and sometimes it's with 2 layers. If you're getting ripples around your embroidery, it's because of the stabilizer. You need more, okay? So cutaway stabilizer. Let's talk about one more thing, and that's on the inside of something you've embroidered. So if you are embroidering on a onesie for a baby or even a t-shirt, it can be a little scratchy, right? With all of the stabilizer and the thread. We have a product called Tender Touch, and that is by Sulky. And this actually fuses on the inside of your garment, and it provides a layer of soft, almost like a fabric, but a soft substrate that is between the embroidery, which can be scratchy, and the baby, or if it's on the inside of your shirt. So this is nice. In fact, one of our educators, Anne, made us little jackets, and she was kind enough to put a little Tender Touch on the inside of the jackets for us, which I thought was a nice detail. So nice thing to have in your stable. So these are by no means all the stabilizers available, but I think these are a great sample of what's out there and how they can up your game. And that's a phrase I use all the time. Anytime we can do things to make our embroidery look more beautiful and have more perfect projects, we're in. So till next time, it's Brenda with Luke's.